Good morning, class. Today we're going to work on Lesson 17, CSS classes. So again, with our CSS, kind of like you did before where you were creating style, now we're going to have even more control over the elements on our page. So for your warm-up, go ahead and navigate to Canvas. Remember, Lesson 17 warm-up. And on that warm-up, what we're going to do, I know this is similar to what you've done before, but I want you to think about what are two CSS styles on this page that you already know, and what is one thing this page does that we haven't learned how to do yet. So what I want you to do is I want you to pause the video here. I want you to look through this web page and see what might be a little bit different, but still the same. Things you know how to do, like you might know how to make the lettering turn red. You might know how to do italics. You might know how to put an image on the screen. But do we know all of these little tricks? Pause the video, answer the two questions. Two things you know how to do, one thing you don't know how to do. All right, welcome back. Hopefully you picked out a couple of things you know how to do. Like I bet you know how to get images onto the screen, and I bet you know how to change some of the font. And maybe those borders might be something that's a little bit difficult. Maybe underlining, not sure. You have to tell me. All right, that's all we needed on that one. We're going to go back in here and we're going to continue. All right, so our question of the day, as you're working through this, how can we create different styles for the same type of elements? So we're going to create different styles for the same type of elements. On our activity, you're going to jump into Code Studio. You're going to go straight to level 2, and you're going to start exploring the classes. You're going to find the CSS rule set in the style.css file that makes the image at the top of the screen smaller than the ones in the main part of the page. And you're going to add a new rule to one of the classes and check to see how that affects the images in that class. So here we go. I'm going to jump out of here, jump over in to mycode.org. Okay, so we're in here. Level 2 is that sample website I had you look at. Level 3 is where we're going to go. Okay, so it says find the CSS rule set in the style. All right, so there's our style sheet. We're going to click on that. Now, when I look at this, I'm going to collapse this. When we look at this, you can see I've got these little images up here, and then down below, I've got bigger images. And when I look over here, I've got a body, I've got top image, and I've got main image. Top image, main image. Kind of a new idea, huh? So I can separate that in top and bottom. And now I can just go in and I can look at what happens. Maybe I change that to 300. Those images get even bigger. Maybe instead of left, you want them right. Or maybe you want to change the borders or a radius. That one's kind of a cool one to pick up. Look at this. 50%, maybe not enough. Let's go with 500. Look what happens at 500. Excuse me. Look how we've actually rounded those quite a bit. And the cool thing is we did nothing to the ones up above. All right. Moving on. That should be level 3, shouldn't it? Sorry about that. All right. Now we're down and we're moving on. I probably have the next one done too. Okay, level 4. We're good. Okay, using classes, you're going to look through the code and see how the shenanigans class works. Add a new class for one of the other humors. Add the class and rule set in the style CSS file. Add elements to the class. Okay, remember elements are those rule sets. And check out the drop downs if you guys need help. So we're going to jump back over there. Now, level 4, the 4 humors. Here we go. We're going to look at this. We're going to look. Shenanigans. There we go. There's our 4 humors. Now, we're going to go in that CSS, remember? And right now, when we see this, shenanigans, look at that. It's got all this stuff. Now, I don't want you to do this. I'm going to do this quickly so you can see it. But you notice it's a dot. And then we're going to just type in what we want. And I'm going to take these. I don't want you doing this. Because I want you guys coming up with something different. Okay? Now I mess up spelling. Now, you got to be sure that everything is spelled the same. I needed capitalized. Let me hit a refresh button. Maybe I shouldn't. We're going to try it. That's what I thought. It's not saving and refreshing. But when I type this in, it should go and it should change our next one down. I'm going to try and refresh. Hopefully we don't lose everything. It's coming back. Let's see. Oh, guess what I didn't do? I didn't put that in. You see how they have that in there? All right. So add elements to the class in the file, and that's what you got to look at. Is in here, when we look at this, we've got our image class. We haven't created an image class yet, so we need to do that. Right up here, we're going to come in, image class equals. Now, this is where I got to put in the exact thing I want it to be. Excuse me. So there we go. Okay. Now, this can back up. And it's going to go there. And we're going to save and refresh. And we should be getting it. Once we bring in our H2 now needs to have our class added to it. Class equals, and put in our cleric. And then we have that, and we close it. So, as you guys are working through here, be sure you're following the same pattern that they have. And got to add. Everything in there. And then we still have our closings, as you can see. Save, refresh. Now, oh, look, I put a capital there. Lowercase, and there it went. Okay, now I can start doing other things here. Dark red, we're going to change this to blue. Now you can see that that changed to blue. Okay, so make sure you work through that. I know that took a little bit to get through, but you want to be sure that you're following that pattern. You're going to do both of these. You're doing the 2 levels on 5. On 6, this is an assessment level. Okay, make sure you check the concepts that you got to get down. I'll be grading this one especially hard. And then we've got the challenge levels. Okay, go in and try the musical instruments, and then try to make some other that you might want to use later in your website. And then you wrap up. Here you go. Think about your team website. What are 2 new ideas you have for your site now that you have classes? So think about these ideas. What are you going to add? And then again, following up on that, how can we create different styles for the same type of elements? Well, we just did that, right? Up here, when we were over on my site, same thing. They're the same type of element, but now we can break them into sections and start creating individual style. So good luck on this. When you get done with the activity here, remember we're going into 5. You're going to do both of them. 6 is the assessment. This is the one that I'm going to grade especially hard. And then 7, you're doing this one. And I'm going to encourage you to go in and try some elements for your website that you guys are going to be creating. If you finish this and you finish your wrap up, then you may go to something like NitroType, Scratch, or one of the other things you can go after you've completed. All right, thanks. See you guys tomorrow.